Good afternoon, everyone. This is the April 19th meeting of the City Finance Committee, and it's our first time back in the Gebhard meeting room, and it's great to be here. And this is our Finance Director's first time in the room as our Finance Director, Mr. DiMartini. So welcome to 630 Garden. So with that, can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, we'll start with Committee Member Harmon.
Here.
Committee Member Gutierrez, not present, and Committee Chair Friedman.
Here. We do have a quorum, and so now we are on to general public comment. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak to any item not on today's agenda but under the purview of the Finance Committee? Please raise your hand. And just to be clear, are we doing online comment here for this meeting? We are. Are there any online comments?
There are no online comments at this time.
Great. I will close general public comment and turn it over to Mr. DiMartini for Item 1, which is the Finance Committee review of the City Administrator's mid-cycle recommended budget for fiscal year 23.
Thank you very much, Chair Freeman. Good afternoon, committee members. My name is Keith DiMartini, the city's finance director. It is my pleasure to present an overview of the city administrator's recommended budget for fiscal year 2023. The agenda for today's presentation is for me to provide a very high-level overview of the city's annual budget process. We'll talk about the review calendar, and then we will take any questions that you might have, open it up for public comment, and then request if the committee has any additional topics that they would like to discuss and consider for this annual budget process. At City Council later today, I will be providing a high-level overview of the recommended budget for fiscal year 2023, and at that meeting, I will also be giving a demonstration of the city's new online budget book tool. So first, just a brief overview of the city's annual budget process. It really is documented in the city charter that the budget must be submitted by the city administrator at least 60 days prior to the beginning of the fiscal year, which begins on July 1st. So in and around May 1st is when that budget is to be published, and today is that day. During May and June, the City Council and the Finance Committee will have deliberations and receive presentations from staff about all the aspects of the budget that is being recommended to you. There's also a public review period during that time as well. You may recall last year around this time is when the city issued its financial plan for fiscal years 2022 and 2023. And so this annual process is a much shorter, more truncated version, which is just an update to the fiscal year 2023 budget that was part of the plan last year. The city's budget and all of its important financial documents are all published at this site off of the city's website. It's www.santabarbaraca.gov/budget. An exciting new improvement for this year's budget process is we have implemented an online budget book. Before, it was a static, over 500-page budget book document, and it was kind of challenging and difficult to comb through. And now we've implemented this really great tool, which is user-friendly and intuitive, and is in line with larger objectives and goals of the city, which is transparency and process improvement and efficiency gains. And it really is meant to broaden citizen engagement. And staff is really excited to present a demonstration of that at the City Council meeting later today. What you'll see in the online budget book document includes the following. It'll be an overview message from the city administrator, providing more of an executive summary of what to expect in the recommended budget. There are also a number of summary financial schedules, including our revenues and expenditures, the city's positions, our capital program summary, revenues and expenditures for each city department, and in the operating budgets for the departments as well. There's a great deal of performance measurement information as well, also explaining some key objectives and initiatives of each department. And during the department budget presentations, they will go into some great detail about what those initiatives are and how they're being proposed to be funded. For the general fund, we will spend a lot of time on the general fund because it is the city's largest fund. And as the committee is aware, we do have a structural deficit that we are planning to solve for in the upcoming budget cycle, but there are projected deficits for multiple fiscal years to come. So it is important that we spend quite a bit of time on the general fund. Each of these departments will give an overview presentation. It will cover the major topics of revenues and expenses, what the reserve position is in the general fund, our capital improvement program priorities, continued impacts related to COVID, although those impacts are starting to dissipate. We're seeing some good upside in the economy, and therefore we're seeing some upside in some of our sales tax, TOT, and other tax revenues that were hit very significantly during COVID. Staff will present proposed fee changes to you as well in detail during the Finance Committee meetings, but then they'll go to the larger City Council for the City Council's consideration and approval. And then a number of priority projects and initiatives, as I mentioned earlier. And those major considerations on the right are things that will come up during multiple presentations to both the Finance Committee and the City Council. For the enterprise funds and the internal service departments, they're listed here on this slide, and you'll hear very similar topics. We've focused a lot on this year's budget presentation on reserves in particular for the enterprises, because each reserve does have a reserve policy target as well. And so you can expect to receive information from staff on their reserve positions. And then also many of the enterprises were impacted significantly from COVID as well. So you'll hear from them in regards to their recovery plans, how they've recovered, how they're going to achieve some level of fiscal sustainability, not only in fiscal year 23, but ongoing as well. So next I wanted to provide a listing of the scheduled meetings with both the Finance Committee and the City Council during this budget process. We've actually already held two. We had a kickoff session with the full City Council in early March, where we provided that work session. We had a Finance Committee just a couple weeks ago, which was the Proposition 218 hearing for the wastewater and the solid waste rate increases that are being proposed. Today we are here to kick off the introduction of the City Administrator's recommended budget, and then later today we'll be going to City Council as well. In red, you'll see where the Finance Committee will be meeting. So next Tuesday, the Finance Committee will receive a sort of a detailed look at staff's projections for our general fund taxes and other non-departmental revenue. Those are the primary revenue sources in the general fund. So you'll hear a detailed presentation next Tuesday on that topic. And then the following week, the Finance Committee will meet and you'll receive staff's proposed changes to fees, but only for the general fund departments. We break those up into two sessions so that we can spend adequate amount of time. And those meetings will start at noon, just so that we ensure that we have adequate time for committee to have conversation with staff and for adequate public comment if necessary. And then we have a number of City Council meetings that will occur where department staff will present their budget proposals to you and the rest of the City Council. And then Finance Committee will meet again on Tuesday, May 10th at 12 o'clock, where you'll hear proposed fee changes from the enterprise fund departments. And then finally, we have a placeholder meeting on May 17th, where the Finance Committee will meet to basically summarize and review the conversations from the prior meetings. And that will be an opportunity for you to make any recommendations that you'd like to vote on and make for the full City Council's consideration when we go into budget deliberations with the City Council. There's a number of other department presentations with the City Council later in May. And then we will conclude the budget presentations, the public hearings on May 25th. And then on June 8th is the evening meeting where we will have the budget deliberation meeting with the full City Council. On June 15th, we'll be requesting approval of the Proposition 218 hearing on the fee increases. And then finally, City Council adoption of the fiscal year 2023 budget is scheduled for Tuesday, June 21st during the regular City Council meeting. So finally, staff's recommendations for the Finance Committee are as follows. We request that you consider and approve of the proposed Finance Committee review schedule and the topics related to the City Administrator's mid-cycle recommended budget for fiscal year 2023, and provide staff with any additional topics that the committee wishes to include in your review, and then we'll take that under consideration and do our best to to provide staff presentations in regards to those topics. So with that, it concludes my presentation. Be happy to take any questions, public comment, and discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. DiMartini, for the quick overview of the budget process. So I will open up to questions from either of my colleagues. Councilmember Harmon.
Thank you, Chair Friedman. Thank you, Mr. DiMartini. Just a quick one. It might be a little bit outside the scope of this, but it occurred to me as you were talking. When you propose or bring to the Finance Committee the fee changes, we vote on that, and then does it go to the full council regardless of the outcome of the vote, just saying it was 1-3 to do this? Or if we vote down a proposed fee change, for example, that's where it ends? I'm just trying to get a sense of the process on that. Sorry.
Chair Friedman, committee member Harmon, Rebecca Bjork, city administrator. You are advising council in your role as finance committee, so it would go to council, full council for action with the recommendations either in support or not based on your vote.
Great. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Thank you. Any questions, Ms. Councilmember Gutierrez? I do have one. It's more just on a timing issue. So on the May 17th Finance Committee, it says 12:30 as the start time, being that that's our final recommendation, but I feel a lot of it we've already covered, so it should be more minor in the questions. But do you think that 12:30 is enough time, given we have 1 hour, because we need to have time to get back to council? Should we bump it up to 12 o'clock instead of 12:30?
Yes, Chair Friedman, I'm happy to have that meeting start at 12 o'clock. We did adjust the two meetings prior to that on the fee changes to 12 o'clock just to ensure adequate time. Staff would be happy to have that meeting start at 12 as well.
Any thoughts from my colleagues? 12 o'clock, yeah, if we could do that at 12, I'd rather have the extra time and have a longer lunch than to run up against the council meeting. So if we can make that start till 12.
We'll make that change. Thank you.
Perfect. And then I think that was my only question. So is there any member of the public that wishes to speak? There are none in the room, so are there any members online that would wish to speak? Please raise your hand in the app.
Chair Friedman, I am monitoring public comment, and there are no hands raised.
Okay, I'll close public comment. So we do need a motion to approve the Finance Committee review schedule and topics related to the mid-cycle budget. And so can I get a motion for the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Harmon.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Gutierrez. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed, abstentions? None. And that is the only item for the day, so we are adjourned. Thank you.